Hello and welcome back to the channel. Something a little bit different today, I'm talking all about pets. This story starts back in 2020 at the start of a COVID lockdown when our local Humane Society put out a call for fosters. I've never had a cat or a dog before, but my partner loves animals, so we signed up to help if and when required. Less than 24 hours later, Mia entered our lives, an experience which has fundamentally changed me as a person. Mia was delivered to us by two members of the Humane Society who had responded to the rescue call from the general public. Like many cats who end up in foster care, Mia had been abandoned as a kitten. This is unfortunately something which I'm seeing more frequently and can easily be avoided through responsible ownership and spay and neutering. Mia had a great personality and took to our home very quickly. Being a kitten, there was a lot of rough play, but also some incredibly cute moments. Mia brought a new energy to our home and gave us a sense of responsibility to help find her a forever home. Having dipped our toes into the world of fostering, we were now exposed to the reality the Humane Society was facing on a daily basis. A small team of volunteers run the organisation, and with this being the height of COVID at this time, legal complications meant the normal processes and policies that they had to follow needed to get adjusted quickly in order to be able to adapt. Before long, we were trying to find ways to assist beyond just fostering, and when I heard about the Belmopan case, I tried to assist with the fundraising campaign through making a short film. Jennifer's story is not one which is unique, but it was a very large rescue mission for such a small team. This rescue involved one member of a community trying to feed and care for 5 dogs and 7 cats. If you're interested in the full story, there's a link in the description to the video I made. As a result of the rescue, there were a lot of animals which needed to go straight into foster care, and this is how we met our second foster, Kahal. Being able to foster both cats and dogs is beneficial for the potential adoption of the animal. If they can get along, then it widens the pool of those who can take them in. Unfortunately, on my way to collect Kahal, we were told that he'd been struck by a vehicle of a drunk driver and he was struggling to walk and breathe. We collected him and took him straight to a vet. The vet believed that he'd suffered some bruising, but it was likely that he'd make a full recovery. I brought him back to our home and we began our care for him. Mia was less curious than I expected and was happy for him to be around, as long as he didn't enter our space. Over the next few days, Kahal was not making any improvements. He was getting worse. He was taken for a more thorough check by a second vet, and the decision was made that it was his time. I'd only spent a week or so with him, and this experience completely broke me. This was the reality of fostering, and this was the low point. So, yes, Kahal, come here. Yesterday, Kahal went to the vets to get a third opinion on his condition. As mentioned, he got hit by a car and he's been staying with us for, I'd say, just over a week now, knocking on 2 weeks. And he's been on a lot of medication and not really knowing quite what to do to get him better. So yesterday he went to get an X-ray, and we've been waiting on the results of that before deciding what's going to happen next. And I've just received a phone call now that unfortunately this is going to be the time to put him down. And it's really sad. I've just received about 10 minutes notice, so I'm going to help get him ready now. And then he's going to go, and it's as pleasant a procedure as it can be. He'll be sedated, and then he'll be put down. But it's very clear he's got a lot of conditions. He's got several fractured ribs. He's got a lot of fluids trapped. His heart's enlarged, and unfortunately, he's just suffering a lot. He's a young puppy, and he's not really got to experience any joy, and he has just been in pain since he's been here. So I believe that this is the
the best option with what's available at this moment in time. So I'm just going to spend my last few minutes with him now, and then he's going to be taken away. I think this is the reality of when you're dealing with rescue animals, and unfortunately it just seems to be a recurring thing at the moment for me. But we've really tried our best to give him the best chance he can have, and I hope he's at least enjoyed his time here for the last few weeks.
We took some time before we signed up to foster again. Mia was still with us, and some occasional overnight friends who would stay before and after their spay and neuter surgeries. This is also when we met my perfect companion, Buddy. Buddy was found tied to a tree, abandoned and left by his owners. He was extremely malnourished and had very little energy. He was remarkably well-natured and seemingly had no bark. By this point, we only had a few months left in the area before we were moving to a different part of the country, so our priority was trying to get Buddy back to a healthy weight and build his confidence back up. Buddy was a real delight to be around and joined us in Mia's last week as she prepared for her move to her new home. The two got along fine, and Mia had finally gotten her happy tale after 3 failed adoptions. The adoption process can be quite challenging, but the welfare and needs of the animal have to be the priority. Having been involved in that process, I fully support the diligence which is taken to make sure the animal and the owner are a good fit, rather than one just for convenience. And if you're considering adopting an animal, you should research the individual requirements early on. After a few months, Buddy was able to gain some weight and was able to show more of his playful side. Due to our move, a second foster had to be arranged, and we spent the last few weeks together transitioning him to his new temporary home, as they had several other cats and dogs which they already cared for. This process did take a little bit of time, but Buddy was soon accepted and had a great time playing in the garden with his new friends. He was successfully adopted a few months later, and he's now a full-time beach boy down in Placencia. Since moving to San Pedro, we've still continued to be involved in animal welfare. We did some emergency fostering for 2 puppies and became accidental fosters to Pickles, a local stray cat. Both the puppies found their forever homes quickly, and this week, after 8 months of unplanned fostering, Pickles was successfully adopted. Having each of these animals enter my life has given me a much deeper understanding of the companionship and emotional support having a pet can bring. It also taught me about the need for strong legislation and responsible ownership. I'd like to take this opportunity to encourage anybody who is thinking about getting their first cat or dog to speak with their local shelter or humane society and exploring a fostering or a foster to adopt program, and I'd strongly urge you to adopt, not shop. If you're interested in learning more about how you can help support or be an advocate for animals, I've left some links in the description of good places to start your research. Thank you for watching, and thank you to all my furry companions who have enriched my life.